Hey, what's up guys? It's Keith Weldon here, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about EVP theory and how ITC apps work. Now, I've been getting messages from people who want to know, they tell me I'm getting this great communication. They're saying my name, personal messages are coming through for me. It's really great, but I just don't understand how it works. How are they using a mobile app to communicate? And so I try to explain it's not the phone itself necessarily, it's the sounds. They're manipulating the sounds to create communication. And so I wanted to make this video today to go a little bit more in depth and talk about the theory behind it and how it is they're actually communicating. So most audible spirit communication is all based around something called EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. This all has to do with sound manipulation. I would say 99% of EVPs are from sound manipulation onto a recording device. It is possible to capture EVPs without a sound source, but it's super rare. So ITC, or instrumental transcommunication, is spirit communication through electronic devices. That is the basic definition of ITC. So spirits can communicate using anything from a phone, television, computer, fax machine, digital recorder, video camera, and so on. So it's spirit communication through an electronic device. That is the basic definition of ITC. Now, when it comes to spirit communication, audible spirit communication, there are multiple things going on here. You have EVP communication, which is manipulation of sound onto a recording device. And there are many types of EVPs, and we'll go over that. And there's also different types of sound sources, and I'm going to break that down. I'm going to try to, this is a very complicated subject, so I'm going to try to break it down easily into sections, so it's a little bit more understandable. But we need to talk about spirit communication and EVP. Now, when you have a digital recorder and you're sitting in a silent room, no one's around, and you're recording, and you ask a question, say, "What is your name?" And then you stop the recording, you play it back, and you hear, "What is your name?" And then you hear, "Bob," or something like that. A name comes through, right? That's what you would consider an EVP. A voice that just appeared out of thin air. But this is still sound manipulation onto a recording device, and a lot of people don't really understand that. But think about taking a digital recorder in a silent room, recording. Now, when you push play to play it back, can you tell if you hit play or not? Is it dead silent? No. You're gonna hear noise coming through the speaker. And what that is when you're even in a silent room, you're still picking up sound waves. These are like a white noise, but I'm not going to call it white noise because most people think of white noise as like white noise generators or some kind of supplied audio sound. So I'm going to call this ambient noise. You're recording the ambient sound of the room. So even though it's quiet, there's still sound. And that sound is what they're manipulating onto your recorder to create speech. And that's why I said 99% of EVPs are through sound manipulation. Now, they can also manipulate electronic devices, so it is possible to capture EVPs in a different way without sound manipulation, but 99% of them are. Now, one of the other characteristics of this type of EVP is you're not hearing the voice with your own ears. So when you're recording, you don't hear a voice, but when you play it back on the recorder, that's where the voice is, because it got manipulated onto the recording device, and it's important to remember that. So that would be ambient noise, right? Ambient noise is no supplied audio. It's just a quiet room. It's just the natural sound, the ambient sound of the space that you're in. Now, a lot of people will add white noise or other noises like the sound of running water, or they have those sleep machines that play like creaks and different white noise type sounds to help you sleep. Now this is a supplied sound, so this will increase the amount of EVPs that you get. I like to do EVP sessions by running water, so if I'm outside and there's like a creek or a river or something, I'll try to do an EVP session next to it. I feel like that really helps increase the communication. So just to recap real quick, you have ambient noise. You're doing an EVP in a silent room. You're just recording the ambient sound of the room. Now you can supply a noise, a white noise, through a white noise generator or sleep machine, or just running it next to water, whatever. You're supplying a sound for spirits to manipulate. This will increase the amount of EVPs you get. I've done this many times, and it always increases the EVP count for sure. The next is what is known as raw audio. This is noises and sounds that are supplied by ghost boxes or ITC apps. What this is a mixture of sounds. So if you have white noise, which is kind of almost monotone in a way, it's just but you're supplying sounds for spirits to manipulate. Now think of that on a higher level. So it's like an advanced white noise. You're supplying these snippets of radio sounds and vocal tones, different parts of speech are out there, and it creates this whole mixture of sounds that spirits can use to communicate even more effectively than white noise, because they have more sounds to work with. So they can manipulate those sounds onto a recording device. Another phenomenon that happens with this raw audio is you can hear real-time communication, which means you don't have to listen back to your recorder. You can actually hear them speak to you in real time, and you can hear it with your own ears. But I'll get into that here in a second. So now that we've talked about the three sources of sound, which are ambient noise, white noise, and raw audio, those are the three basic types of sounds for spirit communication. I want to talk to you about the different types of EVPs. So transform EVP is what I like to call sound manipulation. That's when they modulate and manipulate sounds onto a recording device. This can be achieved with just ambient noise in a room. This can be achieved with supplied white noise, and this can be achieved with raw audio coming from a ghost box or app. A transform EVP, that's your typical EVP where they take sounds and they manipulate it onto the recording device. You can't hear it with your own ears, but you can hear it on a recording device. The next is opportunistic EVP, or what I like to call real-time communication. So they can take these bits of sounds, snippets of words and sounds, and put them together to form words that you can hear in real time. This is one of the things that make ghost boxes and apps so popular. People like that real-time back and forth communication. Now the thing to remember with real-time communication or opportunistic EVPs is that there is a higher increased chance of false positives, because you're hearing it live, but it could be snippets of sounds from like a DJ or something could come together, parts of sound banks that just sound like something else. You're mishearing it with your ears. But overall, real-time communication is amazing, but you just got to keep in mind that false positives are going to be more prevalent in real-time communication compared to like transformed EVPs onto a recording device. So even with ghost boxes, I like real-time communication, but I'm going for the EVP like communication. That means the stuff I'm not hearing with my own ears, that's going to show up in the recordings later when I review it. That's where you get usually the best communication. That's where the most intelligent and sometimes full sentences come through. And you're like, I did not hear that at all with my own ears, but it's there on the recorder. It's because it's an EVP. The sound's been manipulated onto the recording device. And so to me, that's the best type of spirit communication. Real-time communication is great, and it's great in the moment, but sometimes it's not so clear. Sometimes false positives can happen, but it is great for what it is. Now, the other form of EVP is known as random selection. This is what I like to call device manipulation. Like I said, they can manipulate electronic devices. That's the whole definition of ITC. So I believe that with certain devices, they can select the sounds in their intended order to create communication. So think of the Ovilus device, right? It has a word bank. They're manipulating the device to say a certain word, and I've gotten some pretty great communication with the Ovilus device, but that's just a quick explanation or example of device manipulation. They can manipulate the device to pick certain sounds in their intended order so that they form words, phrases, sentences, whatever. So I say certain devices because honestly I believe that the random selection phenomenon can only take place with certain types of devices who have their audio selection random. So sounds pretty obvious, right? Random selection means the device has to select the audio at random. So linear sweeping ghost boxes, where it goes through the radio stations and then starts over and just goes like this, although the audio coming through is random, I don't think random selection can take place as well, because I don't think it could take place as well because it has a predetermined path, meaning those sounds are going to go to these certain stations no matter what. The path that it picks, that it selects the sounds, isn't random, even though the noises coming through are random. So apps like mine, Spiritus, Necrophonic, Sweep uses a linear sweep as well, but Spiritus, Necrophonic, the new app I'm working on right now that will be coming out soon, they all use a randomized audio engine. So it truly is randomly selecting audio. So in that case, random selection can take place. They can select audio at random in their intended order to form speech. So they can manipulate the device in order to create the sounds that they want to use to create speech. So I hope that makes sense. But random selection is another form of EVP. So just to recap so far, there is different sound sources: ambient noise, which is the noise of the room itself; white noise, which is a supplied audio sound; and then raw audio, which is the audio that's created from ghost boxes and apps. And there are different types of EVPs. Transform EVP, which is sound manipulation, which is your standard EVP and the best, in my opinion, form of spirit communication. Opportunistic EVP, this is really prevalent with ghost boxes. I call it real-time communication. It's where these bits of sounds come together to form words that you can hear live. Again, more false positives can become of using this technique, but it is a really great popular technique. And then random selection, which is the device manipulation itself, where spirits go in and actually select the sounds that they want to use for the communication, and that is really only done on certain types of devices. Not every device, I believe, they can use for random selection. Okay, now that we've gone over that, this is I would like to point out that these apps that I create, at least Spiritus, Necrophonic, and the new app that I'm working on, I wanted to point out that they use all these different forms of EVP communication. So transform EVP, obviously, they can manipulate sounds onto the recorder, and that's the best spirit communication in my opinion. It also has the opportunistic EVP, which is real-time communication. You can hear communication back and forth in real time using my apps. Random selection, like I said, it's not a sweeping style Ghost Box app, so it does select audio at random. So random selection, where they can actually manipulate the device to create the intended order of the audio, can be done through my app as well. So essentially, they can use the bits of audio to form speech in real time, but can also pick the intended order that the audio is played and transform or manipulate those sounds onto the recording device to communicate their message. So it has all of that built in. That's what I was wanting to talk to you guys about as far as how they use apps to communicate. I hope that makes sense. I know it's actually more complicated than that. That's me trying to simplify it, but basically there are different types of sounds and different ways that they can use those sounds to manipulate it and create communication. So like my apps, they are intended for like enhanced EVP communication. Some people kind of don't really understand that. Some people, first of all, there are people out there who don't believe in ghost boxes or apps or anything. They think they're all fake, but they do believe in EVP communication, which is weird. I don't think they understand the theory behind EVP communication, but these apps are a form of enhanced EVP communication. That is their intended purpose. And you're going to need to review. So you can hear things live, which is great, especially when you're in the moment. It's awesome, but you have to record and you have to review if you want to get that really great communication. So I hope that makes sense, guys. I tried to break it down and make it simple as possible, but yes, sound manipulation, that's the main thing. And by the way, I'm working on a book. I'm working on a book right now that I'm hoping to have out this summer. And this is the type of stuff I'm talking about in the book. I go over a lot of the theories on spirit communication, and I talk about everything involving the paranormal as much as I know about it. Like I said, theories about stuff, my experiences, things I've learned, things I've made. I try to cover it all. So again, I'm hoping to have that out this summer. But I'll let you guys know when the book is getting close to coming out. The app should be out this month or next month. We are working on some new stuff for it, so we'll see. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. You can go to chillseekers.com, check out our stuff, pick up some merch, support what we do, and I'll see you later.